What you're given here is the formula that is used to find slope when you're given 2 points. Here's what I mean. When you're given 2 coordinates, you have your x, then you have your y. Notice I called it x1, y1. This 1 represents the fact that this is your first point. Here's your second, x2, y2. All right, I believe that is key. When you're given 2 points and you're looking for the slope of the line, you always start by labeling your points. Here is an example. Here's a point, -3, 7, and -2, 4. -3, 7, and -2, 4. You're going to start by labeling this x1, y1, x2, y2. When I label it, it makes it so much easier to be able to plug it back into this formula. Remember that this is the formula for slope because m is used to represent the slope. Now let's substitute into the formula. Y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So when you're plugging in, I guess I'll write it off to the side. I would have 4 minus 7, because this is y2 minus y1, divided by -2 minus -3, which is x2 minus x1. 4 minus 7 is -3, divided by, don't forget that 2 negatives always equals a positive when they're side by side. So this is really -2 plus -3, which is 1. -3 over 1, or -3 divided by 1, is -3. So m equals -3, which is the same thing as your slope is -3. Let's try that again. In this next example, you're also going to be given 2 points, 5, 6, or -6, excuse me, and 1, -2. 5, -6, and 1, -2. Let's go ahead and do 2 things. First, let's write the formula so that you always have it fresh. y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Some of you may have a formula sheet, and you can also refer to your formula sheet if you chose. Once you write the formula, now let's go ahead and label our x1 and y1. That's your first point. Here's your second point. So this is x2 and y2. So now this makes it so much easier to go ahead and plug back in. So you would have -2 minus -6 divided by 1 minus 5. Plug in right into the formula. 2 negatives equals a positive. So -2 plus 6 equals +4. 1 minus 5 equals -4. So 4 divided by -4 equals -1. M equals -1. Let's try it one final time here. In this example, I'm giving you 2 points again. Make sure you're getting this. Here you have 3, 1 and -4, 1. And you're asked to find the slope. Go ahead and label x1, y1, x2, y2. I suggest that you always do it. It makes it so much easier anytime you have to plug into the formula. Now this time, hopefully you remembered to write the formula over. I didn't write it because I wanted to make sure you remembered to write the formula once again. So if you remember the formula, here you would have y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. 1 minus 1 is 0. -4 minus 3 is -7. So in your calculators, you would do 0 divided by -7, which is 0. Always remember, anytime 0 is at the top of the fraction, the answer is 0. If 0 is at the bottom of the fraction, such as 3 divided by 0, the answer is undefined. Make sure you remember this. If 0's at the top of the fraction, the answer is 0. If 0's at the bottom of the fraction, the answer is undefined. You have four different types of slope. Four different types of slope that you need to remember. I'm going to write them for you real quickly. The first type of slope are your positive slopes. Positive slopes rise from the left to the right. They rise from left to right. When you have a positive slope, very simple. The slope is always positive. The second type of slope are your negative numbers, your negative slopes. Negative slopes are the opposite of positives. They don't rise, they fall. They fall from the left to the right. So instead of the slope being positive, the slope is going to be negative. You are correct. Slope is going to be negative. The next type, you got positive, then you have negative. Now you have your zero slopes. Zero slopes. Zero slopes are horizontal lines that move straight across the page. Horizontal lines. The slope is 0, which is why they call it a zero slope. Very easy to remember. All right, let's try it one last time. Your fourth slope is not the 0 slope, it is your undefined slope. All right, it's not horizontal, it's vertical. I often tell my students that one way that I remember is when you draw this vertical line, you're able to make a U at the bottom of the page. I always say U for undefined. U for undefined. The slope here, M, is undefined. Hopefully that made a little bit of sense, but these are your four types of slope. Let's review those real fast. You have your positive slopes. The positive slopes rise from left to right. They're always a positive number, such as m equals 4, or m equals 3 over 5, or m equals 0.5. They're always a positive number. The second type of slope is your negative slopes. They fall, opposite of rise. They fall from the left to the right. M is negative, so it's going to be m equals -2, or m equals 3 over 2, or excuse me, m equals -3 over 2. They have to be a negative number, all right, to fall. Your third type of slope are your zero slopes. These are horizontal lines. Remember, the answer is 0 if you have a 0 as the numerator, which is at the top of the fraction. The fourth type of slope are your undefined slope. These are vertical lines. Remember vertical because U for undefined. That's how you remember which one is horizontal and which one is undefined, or which one is horizontal and which one is vertical, excuse me. Getting a little tongue-tied here. All right, hopefully this was some help to you. But in lesson 6 of your workbook, they provide more examples for you to be able to slowly go back through this. All right,